Today, September 14th, something hidden is being uncovered. For so long, you've carried questions in silence, wondering why your life in love and connection never unfolded the way you hoped. Why doors that seemed open suddenly closed. Why the people you thought would stay somehow slipped away. You called it rejection. You called it bad luck. At times, you even questioned if something was wrong with you. But none of that was ever true. Here is the truth. The universe has been holding something back for you. You've been kept single, not because you were unworthy, but because you were being prepared. Not because love forgot you, but because love was being protected for you. What looked like loneliness was actually alignment. What felt like delay was divine timing. And today, the reason is finally surfacing. Think about it. All those seasons, when you watched others move forward in relationships, while you remained on your own. All those nights you wondered if you had been overlooked. At the time, it felt like silence. But that silence was never empty. It was sacred. And now, that silence is breaking. September 14th is not just another date. It is the moment the veil lifts and clarity enters. You didn't stumble across this message by accident. You were guided here. If these words resonate in your spirit, it means the season of waiting is shifting into a season of revelation. The tears were not wasted. The prayers were not ignored. Every unanswered question is finding its answer now. Stay with me until the very end of this message, because what comes next is the part your soul has been waiting to hear. And if you already feel this truth stirring within you, type 777 in the comments as your sign of alignment, your declaration that you're ready to step into what has always been written for you. The truth is, solitude has been your greatest initiation. While you thought you were being delayed, the universe was quietly aligning you with something bigger than the fleeting comfort of companionship. Being single has not been an accident or a punishment. It has been a sacred assignment. You were placed in this season because your soul needed room to expand, space to heal, and silence to hear the whispers you would have missed in the noise of constant company. When people walked away, when connections dissolved without explanation, when you found yourself sitting alone in rooms where you once felt surrounded, it wasn't rejection, it was refinement. Every goodbye was a hidden blessing. Every closed door was divine protection. Because some people were never meant to witness the version of you that is now emerging. They belonged to chapters that have ended, but your spirit belongs to the story still unfolding. This is why the past years may have felt heavy with loneliness at times. Not because you were abandoned, but because you were being stripped of what could not carry you into your next season. The universe knew what you did not, that certain bonds would drain you, that certain relationships would anchor you in cycles you were born to outgrow. And so it intervened. It placed a barrier where you only saw delay. It created detours where you only saw confusion. And while you mourned what slipped away, heaven celebrated what you had been spared. Understand this: love is sacred energy. It ties spirits together in ways far deeper than the body or the mind. To be connected to the wrong soul is to allow your energy to be siphoned, your clarity to be clouded, your destiny to be delayed. This is why your waiting has been so long. It wasn't that you were overlooked, it was that you were being guarded. Guarded from counterfeit loves, guarded from false promises, guarded from distractions that would have disguised themselves as destiny. And though it felt like silence, it was actually guidance. In the quiet nights when you felt forgotten, the truth is you were being written into alignment. You were being emptied of everything that would not serve you, so that you could be filled with what was always meant for you. The loneliness you carried was not emptiness. It was the clearing of space. The stillness you endured was not a pause. It was preparation. Think about it. How many times did you feel on the edge of something, only for it to slip away? How many times did a connection begin to form, only to collapse before it could take shape? Those were not failures. They were redirections. The universe was drawing lines you couldn't yet see, ensuring that your future would not be entangled with what could not handle your light. Each ending was actually a rescue. Each disappointment was actually an act of divine timing. September 14th is significant because it arrives as a mirror of this truth. The astrological currents are shifting. The energy of the black moon and the eclipse season has stirred the waters of relationships, flushing out what no longer resonates and illuminating what was hidden. If you have felt sudden distance in your connections, if you have noticed truth being revealed in people's actions, understand this is the unveiling. This is clarity. The illusions are falling, and what remains is authentic. For so long, you were asked to sit in the waiting room of destiny. That waiting room was not empty, it was full of lessons. You learned how to choose yourself. You learned how to listen to your own intuition instead of the voices around you. You learned how to carry your own joy instead of relying on someone else to hand it to you. Those lessons are not small. They are the foundation of everything coming next. Without them, you would have walked into the right season with the wrong habits. You would have met the right person with the wrong wounds. But now you are prepared. Do not underestimate the power of this preparation. You may feel like you've been on the sidelines while others lived their stories, but what you've actually been doing is training for your own. The silence gave you stamina. The solitude gave you strength. The unanswered prayers gave you wisdom. And now, when the doors open, you will not walk in as someone desperate to be chosen. You will walk in as someone who already knows they are chosen. That is the difference. That is why you were kept single. And here is something most will never understand. Love that comes too soon can actually destroy. A connection that arrives before your spirit is ready will not feel like blessing. It will feel like burden. The universe withheld. Not because you were unloved, but because you were too loved to be handed something unworthy of you. Timing has always been the safeguard. You thought you were waiting for love, but love was waiting for you to heal, waiting for you to grow, waiting for you to step fully into the self that could sustain what you prayed for. Now, on this day, the veil is lifting. You are beginning to understand why the path looked the way it did. You are beginning to see that what felt like silence was actually the orchestration of something rare. The people who could not stay were never meant to stay. The relationships that never formed were never meant to form. The rejection you carried in your heart was never rejection. It was redirection toward the love that has been reserved for you all along. So don't look at your singleness as emptiness. Look at it as sacred design. Look at it as the holy pause before the music begins again. Look at it as the universe's way of saying you are too important, too precious, too aligned for just anyone to hold. And when the new season arrives, when love enters in the form it was always meant to, you will see why the waiting was necessary. You will realize that nothing was wasted, that every tear was counted, that every night you thought you were alone was actually heaven sitting beside you. You will look back at the closed doors with gratitude, because you'll see they were keeping you from rooms you were never meant to enter. You need to hear this. The loneliness you've carried was never punishment. It was a sacred invitation, an invitation to step into deeper alignment with yourself, with the universe, and with the life you are being prepared to receive. You were not being hidden from love. You were being hidden for love, protected, preserved, and prepared for something rare. Think about it. If you had settled in the past, you would not be here today. If every relationship had worked out the way you begged for at the time, your spirit would still be trapped in stories too small for who you are now. That is why things ended. That is why doors closed. That is why certain people who seemed so perfect at first suddenly disappeared. It wasn't failure. It was redirection. Every ending you thought broke you was actually saving you. And here's what you must understand. Your being single was not about being left behind. It was about being elevated. The universe lifts you higher by stripping away what cannot breathe at your altitude. Some people cannot walk with you into the next season because they are not strong enough to withstand the energy you now carry. That's why they faded. That's why it didn't last. And though it hurt, the truth is, it freed you. Now, the waiting is shifting into becoming. This is the part where you must choose how you walk forward. Not with bitterness, not with resentment, but with awareness. If you want to align with what's ahead, you must begin to live as though it's already yours. That means carrying yourself like someone worthy of the love you asked for. That means speaking words that align with the reality you want to see. That means guarding your energy like the treasure it is. Here's a truth many overlook. Love flows where energy is clear. If your space is filled with fear, with doubt, with old memories that no longer serve you, then there is no room for the blessing waiting to arrive. This is why solitude has been your teacher. It has been showing you what needs to be released, what needs to be healed, and what needs to be redefined. So let me speak directly to you now. Stop telling yourself that you are behind. Stop rehearsing the thought that something is wrong with you. Stop replaying the past like a broken record. Every time you do, you anchor yourself to an identity that no longer exists. The old version of you, the one who tolerated less, who doubted more, who clung to what was leaving, cannot cross into what is coming. You are not that person anymore. Do not drag them into your future. Instead, begin to declare who you are now. Speak it, feel it, live it. Say to yourself, I am worthy of the love that aligns with my soul. I no longer chase what drains me, I attract what matches me. I release the past with gratitude, and I open my heart to what is new. When you affirm this, you don't just shift your mindset, you shift your frequency. And when your frequency shifts, the universe responds. Listen closely. Love is not coming to save you, it is coming to join you. That's why the work had to begin in solitude. Because if you had not learned how to save yourself, you would have mistaken company for completion. Now, you know better. You know that you are already whole, already enough, already radiant. And from that place, the right person can enter, not to complete you but to complement you. That's the secret of why you've been single. It wasn't a curse, it was a shield. A shield over your destiny, a shield over your heart, a shield over your spirit. And now that shield is lifting, slowly, gently, because you are finally strong enough to walk into the love that has been reserved for you all along. But hear me, do not rush, do not chase, do not grasp. Let love come in alignment, not in desperation. Trust that when the timing is right, what belongs to you will appear so clearly that you won't have to force it. The connection will flow. The energy will match. The timing will be undeniable. And some of you may be asking in your heart, why today? Why September 14th? Why now? Let me tell you this clearly. The subject is not the date itself. The date is just the vessel. The real message is this: today is the day it reached you. Today is the day your soul was ready to hear it. And because God works in alignment, not in accident, this message found its way into your hands, your ears, your spirit, on the exact day you needed it. Understand something profound. Destiny is never late. Messages do not arrive early. They come at the precise moment when your spirit has stretched enough to receive them, when your heart has broken enough to feel them, and when your mind has quieted enough to believe them. This is that moment for you. That is why it is here, and that is why you cannot ignore it. So no, the core of this message is not September 14th. The core is that you are sitting here, right now, listening, because your soul called this in. Because heaven saw your tears, the universe measured your waiting, and God whispered, now, they are ready. That is why you are here. That is why you pressed play. That is why your spirit is trembling as these words touch it. What you thought was delay was actually divine choreography. Every person who walked away, every plan that crumbled, every door that slammed in your face, they were not signs of rejection. They were signs of protection. They were closing not to wound you, but to shield you from futures that did not belong to you. The silence you endured was not abandonment. It was preparation. It was heaven's way of clearing the noise, so that in this very moment, you could finally hear the truth without distraction. And here is the truth: you were never behind. You were never forgotten. You were never left out. The waiting was holy ground. The loneliness was sacred training. The emptiness was fertile soil. Everything you thought was working against you has actually been working for you. Think about it. If you had received the love you begged for years ago, would you even be standing here as the person you are now? If you had been given what you thought you wanted, would it have matched the person you have become? The answer is no, because who you are today is not who you were then. Your growth demanded a different timeline. Your evolution required divine delay. So September 14th is not about calendars, it's about alignment. It is the day this message reached you, the day your spirit opened, the day the veil lifted, and what you do with this moment matters. Will you receive it as just words, or will you allow it to become the turning point you've been asking for? Listen carefully. There are no accidents in how this arrived in front of you. This was not an algorithm. This was not coincidence. This was a delivery. An answer to prayers you thought were unheard, a sign that you were never walking alone, a reminder that your life is unfolding exactly as it was meant to. And what comes next is even more important. Because the message is not only about why you've been single, it's about what you are being prepared for. Love is not just about companionship. Love is about assignment. The partner that is coming into your life is not simply to share a house, or a bed, or a name. They are coming to share a mission, a vision, a calling. That is why the delay was so long. That is why the weight was so heavy. Because the one who is aligned with your destiny could not meet you until you were fully standing in it yourself. Hear me. The waiting was not wasted. The nights you cried were counted. The prayers you whispered in silence were collected. Every lonely walk, every unanswered text, every disappointment, it all carried weight. And today, the message is simple: your story is about to shift. Not tomorrow, not next year. Today. Because the shift doesn't begin when someone enters your life, it begins when you finally see why they couldn't enter before. Let that sink in. The breakthrough you're waiting for has already started. You are in it. You are living it. The fact that you are hearing these words means the doors are already turning, the energy is already moving, the alignment is already active. So let me ask you this. What will you do with the truth now that you know it? Will you still mourn what left, or will you rise and prepare for what is arriving? Will you keep rehearsing the story of rejection, or will you embrace the truth of protection? Will you stay chained to the old version of yourself, or will you step boldly into the version who is ready to receive? Because this is the threshold moment, and thresholds require decisions. You cannot cross into what is next while carrying the weight of what has already ended. You cannot cling to closed doors while expecting open ones to appear. You cannot rehearse the language of loneliness while expecting the vibration of love to answer. One identity must die so that another can rise. And that is why you've been single. Because God has been waiting for you to choose. Not just love in another person, but love in yourself. To love yourself enough to stop settling. To love yourself enough to wait for alignment. To love yourself enough to trust the timing instead of forcing the outcome. But here's the truth most people overlook. Love and destiny are built on patience. Not the kind of patience that simply waits while complaining, but the kind that trusts deeply even when nothing is visible. Patience is the sacred pause where heaven does its best work. When you think nothing is happening, everything is actually moving. The unseen is arranging, aligning, preparing. Some of you feel the weight of waiting like it's a punishment. But what if waiting is the most divine protection you've ever received? What if the delay is the shield that kept you from pouring your heart into the wrong hands? Think of how many times you nearly settled, how many times you almost said yes to someone who was never designed to carry your soul. If those doors had opened, you wouldn't just have been delayed, you would have been destroyed. This is why you cannot despise the waiting. Every day of silence has been part of your preparation. Every unanswered prayer has been heaven whispering, "Not yet. Not this one. Not like that." Patience is not about doing nothing. It's about trusting that the timing of God is wiser than the plans of man. And let's be honest, patience tests us in ways nothing else does. It stretches your faith. It forces you to release control. It teaches you to stop living in desperation and start living in alignment. Because when the right connection comes, you won't have to chase it. You won't have to manipulate. You won't have to question it every second of the day. It will feel steady. It will feel sure. It will feel like it belongs. This is where you are now, standing in the in-between. The waiting has not been wasted. It has been shaping you into someone who can finally hold what is coming. And I know the silence can feel like it's crushing. I know there are nights when loneliness speaks louder than hope. But don't forget, even silence has a language. Even stillness carries meaning. The very fact that you've been sustained through it proves that you were never truly alone. So hear me, do not give up now. You are closer than you think. The test of patience always feels hardest right before the shift. That's why distractions are louder. That's why doubts are sharper. That's why temptation looks stronger. Because the old cycle can sense its ending, and it will fight to keep you trapped. And if you've been wondering why the energy feels so heavy in these days, the answer is above you, written in the sky. The heavens have been arranging themselves like a clock, moving planets, aligning stars, opening and closing gateways of energy that echo into your life. The moon's phases, the planetary movements, the alignments you've felt, none of it is coincidence. Each one has been pressing against your spirit, urging you to release what no longer serves and step into what has been waiting. Look carefully, the sky is not silent. When you see endings, when you feel distance, when silence surrounds you, it is because your timeline is being rewritten. The universe works with precision. Just as the moon knows when to wax and when to wane, your life also moves in cycles. There are moments to expand, and there are moments to retreat. There are times when relationships flourish, and times when they dissolve. You are not lost in this pattern. You are carried by it. The reason you've been held back, the reason you've been walking this path alone, is because the timeline of your soul was not yet aligned with the timeline of another. Your waiting was not punishment. It was synchronization. The sky has been holding you in place, keeping you still, while the pieces of your destiny were catching up to you. You see, time is not working against you, it is working for you. Every eclipse, every retrograde, every portal is a signal, a reminder that endings are gateways to beginnings. These cosmic events do not break your life apart. They reorder it. They cleanse what was false and leave only what is real. And that's why you've been tested so sharply in this season. Because your soul's schedule is not running by the clock on your wall, but by the rhythm of eternity. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Even the delays, even the detours, even the lonely nights, they were all written. The universe has been saying, wait, not yet, hold still, your hour is coming. And that hour is not far away. This is why right now, your task is not to force, not to chase, not to question why things ended or why certain people walked away. Your task is to trust the divine order, the calendar written in the heavens long before you were born. Every door that has closed was meant to close in this season. Every person who left could never have walked with you into the chapter that begins now, and the silence you feel is not abandonment, it is alignment. But as we move deeper, let me warn you of something more important than anything I've said so far. If you've stayed with me until this moment, then you were meant to hear this. Don't turn away. Don't let distractions steal this truth. Because what I'm about to share is the key to carrying everything you've learned into your future. Loneliness has been your teacher. It stripped away illusions and revealed your strength. In the hours that felt most suffocating, God was closer than your own breath. When no one answered your calls, when no one noticed your tears, heaven noticed, heaven heard, heaven stayed. And this is why you must be careful. Do not let the ache of loneliness drive you back into the arms of the wrong people. Do not waste your energy on those who only come to take. Do not confuse your hunger for connection with a reason to settle for less than you deserve. Some people are not seeking your love, they are seeking your light. And if you are not careful, they will drain it until nothing remains. So you must learn to say no. Say no to conversations that leave you empty. Say no to those who belittle your growth or mock your faith. Say no to invitations that drag you back into cycles you've already broken free from. Say no to anything that steals your peace. Because here is the truth. It is better to walk alone with God than to walk surrounded by people who dim your spirit. The world may tell you that having company is better than solitude. But heaven knows the path of purpose is not measured by numbers, it is measured by alignment. Do not confuse attention with love. Do not confuse company with connection. Do not confuse noise with meaning. Some people enter your life only to distract you. Some speak kind words only to bind you. Some call themselves friends but quietly hope you fail. These are not your companions, they are your tests, and not every test deserves your energy. Yes, it hurts to release them. Yes, it stings to sit in silence. But hear this, every no you give to the wrong person opens space for the right one to step in. Every time you choose solitude over counterfeit connection, you create a sanctuary for true love to enter. Every time you trust God's timing instead of forcing your own, you align yourself with a miracle greater than you can imagine. Remember this, the tests grow sharpest right before breakthrough. Old temptations will reappear. Familiar faces may return knocking on doors you already closed. Opportunities that once seemed attractive may resurface just as you prepare to move forward. Do not be deceived. These are distractions, not invitations. They are designed to keep you bound when you were made to be free. So hold on to this truth: you are closer than you think. The endings, the shaking, the sudden changes, these are not signs of collapse. They are evidence of a new beginning pressing against the horizon of your life. Don't turn back now. Don't stop here. The next chapter cannot open if you keep rereading the last one. And if you still feel the weight of loneliness, let this be your confirmation you were never alone. In your darkest nights, heaven stood with you. In your quietest hours, God was closer than you realized. Even in silence, you were seen, heard, and protected. So do not betray your future by clinging to your past. Do not sacrifice your destiny just to soothe your loneliness for a moment. Wait, protect, trust. Because what is coming will make every hour of waiting worth it. If you understood what is about to enter your life, you wouldn't rush, you wouldn't compromise, you wouldn't doubt, you would prepare. Because when divine timing opens the door, it does not open halfway. It opens wide, and everything you've prayed for will step through. But here's the truth. Most people overlook. Preparation is not about being perfect. It's about being ready. It's about clearing out the space inside you, so that when the blessing arrives, it has room to stay. Too often people ask for love while still clinging to resentment. They ask for new beginnings while holding on to old pain. They ask for miracles without releasing the fear that blocks them. And so the energy cannot flow, because it has nowhere to land. Your waiting season was never wasted. It was meant to refine you. Every lonely night was shaping you into someone who can receive what is coming without sabotaging it. Every unanswered prayer was building strength you didn't know you needed. Every closed door was redirecting you to the exact path written for you before you were even born. And now, you are at the threshold. The vibration of your life is shifting, and you can feel it even if you can't yet explain it. Do not mistake this silence for delay. Silence is where the greatest changes are born. It's where your roots strengthen beneath the surface, unseen but unstoppable. When you rise from this quiet, you will not rise the same. You will rise transformed. The love that enters your life next will not resemble the old patterns you've known. It will be deeper, truer, aligned with your soul instead of your wounds. And that is why you could not rush it. Think of how many times you prayed for something or someone, only to look back later and realize it would have broken you had it stayed. Think of the relationships you thought you couldn't live without, and yet here you are, still standing, stronger because they ended. What left was never meant to remain. What didn't begin was never meant to bloom. And what seemed delayed was actually being divinely timed for your protection. So as you step forward, protect your spirit with intention. Do not give your energy freely to everyone who asks for it. Do not let loneliness deceive you into believing that anything is better than nothing. The next chapter of your life requires discernment. It requires patience. It requires courage to say no, even when your heart longs to say yes, because the wrong yes can cost you years, but the right yes can change everything in a moment. And I need you to hear this clearly. What is coming is not small. It is not ordinary. It is not temporary. It is a blessing that has been prepared for you, shaped for you, aligned with the deepest parts of who you are becoming. That is why the waiting has been so intense, why the warfare has been so sharp, why the lessons have been so heavy. The greater the promise, the greater the preparation. So do not look at yourself and think you are behind. You are not behind. You are right on schedule. You are not forgotten. You are chosen for a timing that will make sense in hindsight. And though you may feel weary, remember even your weariness is proof you've been fighting for something worth carrying. The time is near. The turning is close. The long nights are giving way to a dawn you've prayed for but never fully imagined. And when it breaks, it will not be a flicker. It will be a flood. The kind of blessing that pours into your life so fully that you finally understand why the wait had to be so long, why the path had to be so narrow, why the silence had to be so deep. So stand firm. Protect your faith as if it were gold. Keep your heart tender, no matter how many storms you've faced. Do not allow bitterness to grow where beauty is waiting to bloom. Do not allow fear to sit in the place that love was designed to fill. And do not allow impatience to steal the blessing that only patience can deliver. You are nearer to breakthrough than you think, stronger than you've ever realized, and more prepared than you can yet see. And when the door swings open, and you will not second guess it. You will not have to chase it. You will not live in doubt. You will know, because true love, divine alignment, real destiny, these do not confuse, they confirm. They do not drain. They restore. They do not vanish, they endure. So share this message, so more souls can awaken to truth and find the courage to step into freedom. The world needs this light. And now, the world needs you. Now the floor is yours. Step forward, chosen one. The new chapter begins today.